Tony Abbott has revealed our special forces have finally been deployed to Iraq to help train local soldiers fighting Islamic State militants.
It's not known how many of the 200 troops are already in Baghdad, but US President Barack Obama has asked the PM to commit more Australian soldiers to the battle in Iraq. It's a hot topic this morning. To discuss it, we're joined by Seven commentator Derryn Hinch in Melbourne and political commentator Pauline Hanson in Ipswich. Derryn, should we be sending more troops to tackle the threat posed by Islamic State?
Well, it's a poignant day, isn't it, being Remembrance Day? But I think that IS is the biggest threat to world peace, apart from the Cold War, since Hitler. I notice that Obama calls them advisors and trainers, and advisors and trainers can get killed. And, of course, Eisenhower and JFK sent advisors to Vietnam. Despite all that, I think it's our duty. I think we have to do it.
Yeah, I agree with you about the threat. I think this is a real worry, Pauline. Are we getting involved in what is likely to be a very long, drawn-out war?
That concerns me greatly, Sam, because I believe it is. Terrorism, how do you deal with it? Especially on a day like today, talking about sending more soldiers to war, and it concerns me greatly. I think it's a war against the jihadists that we will not win, and I don't think there's any possibility of us ever winning it. They have a hatred towards the West, they have a hatred towards the Americans, and I think that to get involved in this, it really concerns me greatly.
So what do we do, Pauline? Just let him go?
What are we going to make?
Sorry, Pauline, if it's a war we cannot win, it's a war we're going to lose much faster by ignoring it and doing a Neville Chamberlain and saying peace in our time. We have to do something. The world has to do something. We owe it to.
That's how I felt about it, but when you see this, that they're actually putting it out, beheading people, and you see the young ones from Australia that are actually making their comments, it means that they're actually inciting people, the West, against them to go and fight against them. You know, I think we need to really make a decision.
What are you
saying? That we're not going to lose Australian lives tied up in a war that we cannot win.
Look, you keep saying we cannot win.
You're going to deal with terrorism on our shores.
Look, we could have said that in World War II against Hitler.
You have these jihadists, you have the Islamists, you have these jihadists, the Islamists that are they are pushing their terrorism against the rest of the world.
Yeah, that's why we must fight it.
They want a jihadist war against the world.
Let me tell you something. I don't believe, especially on Remembrance Day, I don't believe that our leaders commit forces lightly. You look at Barack Obama's grey hair. He did not commit troops lightly. They don't. Even Tony Abbott, I don't care. Bob Hawke, whatever.
Okay, Derryn, if you're going to fight them on their grounds, not on our Western ways of fighting against them, because they don't care about loss of life, they don't care about the women, they don't care about the children, they don't care about their own.
But you're saying ignore them, don't fight them at all.
They don't care about anyone.
Because we can't beat them. That's the most crazy defeatist attitude I've heard in a long time.
Just be prepared, Australia, that when you get involved in this war, how long is it going to go on?
Yep.
How many Australians' lives are we going to lose for what? Do the Muslims care about us? No, they don't. They hate Christianity. They hate Australians. They hate the West.
No, the Islamics, you're talking about the extremists.
You're not talking that we will never win.
Australian Muslims do not hate Australians. They are Australians. But the Islamic extremists, they must be taken on. They must be taken on there. And I don't agree with you 100%.
On investigation, 16 to 25% of Muslims are extremists. Okay, so how do you know which is a good Muslim and which isn't a bad Muslim?
Where do you get that figure from?
Okay, that comes from Bridget Gabriel, and she's an American. And this is
that makes her an expert.
World figures.
Makes her an expert. Right. She's an American.
These are world figures on it, that are investigative figures on it. All right, well, okay. I'd just tell Australians, go and do your own research. You know, sometimes, Derryn, you want to get your head out of the bloody sand and know what's going on in the world.
No, I'm just saying, if we put our head
out of the bloody sand and know how the Australians are feeling about all this.
Let me just quickly get a comment on the former Queensland Premier Wayne Goss being remembered this morning following his death at the age of 63. Pauline, he was almost going to run against you for a federal seat, wasn't he?
He was. That's what I've heard, that he was looking at standing against me in the 1998 election. I'm sorry for Wayne Goss, and I'm sorry for his family to die at such a young age. And I know he was battling cancer for many years. You know, it's a shame. He left his mark on Queensland, and I congratulate him for that. He stood up for what he truly believed in. He didn't agree with my views, and that's why he was going to stand against me. But that's what democracy, and that's what it's all about with politics. But for his family, I feel very deeply for his family and their loss.
Yeah, Derryn, what did you make of Wayne Goss?
It was it's a tragedy for many years, but he came at a great time for Queensland after the corruption of Russ Hinch and Joe Bjelke-Petersen with money and paper bags across the desk. Queensland needed Wayne Goss. We saw that from the Fitzgerald inquiry. Yeah, it's very sad, very young.
Okay. All right, thanks, Derryn. Thanks, Pauline. Talk to you soon.